Tired of today's telecom troubles? Purgefraud has your solution. Let's begin. Fraud. It keeps creeping in and stealing your revenue, and they keep coming up with new ways to steal from your bottom line. This started with cramming and slamming and false answer supervision. Fraud. Then came ESN, signal cloning. Fraud. Phishing, or voice phishing. Fraud. Credit card fraud. Refiling, interconnect fraud. International revenue share fraud, subscriber ID theft fraud, WAN girl, war dialers, auto dialers, telemarketing fraud, person to person, station to station, obfuscation fraud, collect call payphone fraud. Then there was 900, 976, and now 500 forwarding fraud, switch programming or cracking fraud, CNAM data mining fraud, PBX/voicemail fraud, gray route fraud, voice over IP fraud, T-carrier, PBX or SIM card fraud, calling cards, long distance cut rate switch vendor fraud, SIM box fraud, false answer fraud, and now we have over-the-top bypass fraud. Now, many free call services on the internet can now be received directly on the new internet-capable smartphones. These calls can include video and quick messaging capabilities, and are almost irresistible to end users not understanding that they may be circumventing their phone companies and not paying appropriate fees and taxes associated with these services. These new services are called over-the-top or OTT services, as they use a data packet layer in communications reserved for the use of the internet. But now the cost of these phone calls are now borne by the data usage of the end user and not the calling party, while fees, tariffs, and taxes go completely unpaid. While this may be worrisome enough, there are some unscrupulous companies which switch to lesser carriers on purpose to circumvent paying these costs. This robs the consumer of the high-grade service they believe they are paying for, while these companies multiply their profits enormously, if they pay any connection cost at all. For the common over-the-top services are able to bypass the entire system without negotiating services with the telecom services they are indeed still using. There are telecom consultants and companies which can tell you whether you have OTT problems in your service. But none of these services, however professional, in their presentation can do little more than tell you that the problem exists on your network. Of course you have these new problems with the new paradigm shift to these over-the-top communication services such as Skype, Facebook, Google Talk, and a plethora of vendors coming into the market every day offering this peer-to-peer type of communication services, which easily slips by telecom vendors and regulators. There are even some companies like Verizon which offer developers a fast track to developing their own OTT communication services and applications, which can be easily downloaded and activated by users around the world with just a swipe of their finger. You have only one solution for the true mitigation of these over-the-top troubles you face. Our AI plus fixed asset solution will identify the perpetrators and help you bring them to the table to share the load of the costs associated with running telecoms and regulating same. We can intercept their calls, trace them, identify them, and give you the opportunity to bring a resolution to this new problem borne by every data streaming telecom vendor and regulator in the world today. Our professional consultant is Woodrow Bowling. He is an expert in telecommunications, having worked at the highest levels in the industry and acting as a consultant for the largest telecom companies, presidents, world leaders, and telecom regulators around the world. We stand ready to help you understand how our over-the-top, performance-based mitigation services can help you to navigate through the new threats you have in running and regulating the telecom industry today. Contact us today. Call Mr. Bowling at 1-305-457-8986 or contact us here.